Hello, everyone. Welcome back to End Times Ambience. If you want to skip this brief introduction, check the comments below for the timestamp to skip it. We're doing these introductions just to show you two that there is actually a human making these channels and not just a machine pumping out content. Few housekeeping items. We are over on Patreon, so if you want an ad-free version of this show, come join us over on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. We'd love to have you over there. Today's video is another backlog video that was actually released on Patreon several months ago, and it was the fan poll winner for that month a couple months ago, and it's inspired by the film The Fog by the great John Carpenter. If you haven't seen the film, I would highly recommend you watch before watching this. It's about a town called Antonio Bay, which was founded on murder. 6 men lured a ship onto the rocks, drowned everyone aboard, and used the dead captain's gold to build their town. 100 years later, Blake came out of the fog and collected it. This story picks up 46 years after that night because somebody thought it was a good idea to dig that gold up again. So with all that being said, I really hope you enjoy Blake's Ledger, The Fog Returns. Enjoy the show.
Good evening. I am your host for this evening's entertainment. Do sit down. You appear to be in good health, and I would very much hate for that to change before you have had the chance to enjoy yourself. I have been asked to introduce a story set in a small coastal town on the northern California shore. The residents of this town, I am told, once did something quite terrible to a group of ill men who only wanted somewhere quiet to die. This is not, strictly speaking, unusual in American history. What is unusual is that the ill men came back about it. Before you proceed, the producers have asked me to recommend that you watch John Carpenter's 1980 film, The Fog. It is the foundation upon which tonight's story is built, and those of you who have already seen it will find yourselves at a considerable advantage. Those who haven't may find themselves confused. This is, again, not unusual in American history. I am further instructed to inform you that the voices you are about to hear were produced by artificial intelligence. The story, however, was directed by a human being. I find this distinction meaningful. Machines do not yet have the capacity for genuine dread. The human directing them presumably does. Any resemblance to persons living or dead is, of course, entirely coincidental. The dead in this particular story are not modeled on anyone. They are their own class of person entirely. Do enjoy the show.
$11:55, almost midnight. We have enough time for one more story before the hour turns. My grandfather lived his whole life on this coast. He used to tell me a secret about Antonio Bay. They trusted the town. A century ago, the men on a clipper ship called the Elizabeth Dane paid our founders for a safe place to build a colony. They carried a fortune in heavy gold. They just wanted to get away from the storms. The founders of Antonio Bay didn't want sick men settling nearby, but they wanted that money. 6 men lit a fire on the rocks at Spivey Point. The Elizabeth Dane mistook that false light for the safety of a harbor. The ship drove straight into the jagged reef. Every soul aboard drowned in the cold dark. My grandfather promised me the dead would not forget. He said when the thick fog finally returned, the drowned men would rise from the bottom of the sea. They would drag their rusted hooks and rotting clothes through the streets to hunt the descendants of their betrayers. He was right. It happened exactly 100 years later. The mist rolled across the ocean like a living thing. It swallowed the seagrass fishing boat and carried those dead sailors right back to our docks to butcher the locals. They showed no mercy. The white wall moved into Antonio Bay itself. It poured through the broken glass of the weather station A small group of survivors retreated to the old church, cut off from any help. Father Malone found the stolen coins hidden deep inside the plaster walls. The desperate priest knew they had run out of time. He had the cursed treasure cast into a solid cross, right as Captain Blake smashed through the heavy wooden doors. Malone offered the gold back to the sea. Blake took it. The cursed mariners vanished into nothing, carrying their reclaimed fortune back to the icy depths. They dragged the fog away with them. Everyone breathed again. They thought it was done. It wasn't. Father Malone had paid for his grandfather's crime before the sun came up. Blake's blade found him alone in the empty church. 6 lives. 1 cross return. The ledger closed. My grandfather told me one last thing before he died. He said the sea does not forget a debt. And he said the only thing more dangerous than a curse that runs is a curse that stops. Because when it stops, somebody always decides it's safe to go looking. Somebody always pulls the gold back up.
Good evening. I'm John Freelander, and you're watching KTAB Channel 4 News at 6. Tonight, a turning point for one of our coast's most storied properties, and a homecoming of sorts for the Elizabeth Dane. After 18 months of restoration, the old Antonio Bay Catholic Church reopened its doors this weekend as the Malone, a 42-room boutique hotel up on Spivey Point. Rooms start at $600 a night. The developer tells us the soft opening sold out in under a week. We've got a look inside. The original stained glass, where it could be salvaged, has been re-leaded along the back wall of the lobby. The pews from the old parish were repurposed into a long bar top in what used to be the sanctuary. Owner-operator Charles Winslow says he wanted to, in his words, honor the building's character while letting it breathe new life as a destination. The mayor was on hand for the ribbon-cutting Sunday afternoon. She called the Malone, quote, a fresh chapter for the Harbor District, end quote, staying on the waterfront. Our Maritime Museum is gearing up for its grand opening next month, and the centerpiece is going to turn some heads. Pacific Crest Heritage Salvage will be donating 9 pounds of recovered gold from the wreck of the Elizabeth Dane, the clipper ship that went down off Spivey Point in 1880. We're told the gold will be on display alongside personal effects, a navigational instrument, and what's left of the captain's logbook. Pacific Crest has been working that wreck site for the better part of 2 years. Their team tells us tomorrow morning's dive will be the final operation on the Dane. Once it's done, the museum's collection is complete and the wreck site goes back to the fish. A note from the weather desk before we move on. Marine forecasting is tracking a low-pressure formation about 40 miles offshore. Light fog drifting against the current, which is unusual but not a cause for concern. Boaters in the channel may want to keep an eye on conditions overnight. Otherwise, we're looking at clear skies for the dive crew in the morning. When we come back, sports, weather for the rest of the week, and a closer look at some of the events being scheduled around the museum opening. Stay with us. Good morning. I'm John Freelander. We're breaking into our regular morning programming with developing news from the Antonio Bay Harbor. At about 4:30 this morning, the Coast Guard's overnight aerial patrol spotted a commercial vessel drifting roughly 6 miles off Spivey Point. No running lights, no radio response, no movement on deck. The vessel is the Argonaut Rose, the salvage ship operated out of Eureka by Pacific Crest Heritage Salvage. It was due back in port at 6 a.m. after an overnight dive on the wreck site of the Elizabeth Dane. That dive was scheduled to be Pacific Crest's final operation in the harbor. The Argonaut was towed into the marina at sunrise. I'm told all 7 members of the crew are dead. For the latest, we go now live to Jericho Palmer down at the slip.
Thanks, John. I'm standing on the loading dock about 30 yards from where the Argonaut Rose is tied up. The Coast Guard has the slip cordoned off. There's a refrigerated truck from the county coroner's office backed up behind me. We've watched 7 body bags come off that boat in the last hour. The deck of the Argonaut. Even from this distance, I can see something on the rails and on the plating that looks like a layer of ice. The salvage cranes, the dive equipment, the ladders. All of it has frost on it. It's April. We're in coastal Northern California. The water is 52 degrees. The air around the boat, John, is colder than that. You can see your breath standing on the dock. I spoke briefly with a deckhand from the boat in the next slip. Older man, lifer in this harbor. He was tying off lines when the Argonaut was towed in, and he saw the first bodies before the Coast Guard covered them. He told me the wounds were not gunshots. He used the word, quote, old. I asked him what he meant by that. He said the wounds looked like a sword or something. That's a direct quote. A representative from Pacific Crest's Eureka office was here for about 20 minutes. She declined to make a statement. She left in a company vehicle headed north. The CEO is reportedly in transit. He is not expected at the marina today. There's a small crowd gathered at the parking lot edge. Locals, mostly. Nobody's saying much. An older woman near the rail pointed out at the slip and told me the boat was sitting low in the water, like it had brought something heavy back. Back to you in the studio, John.
Jericho, stand by. We may come back to you. Joining us now in studio is Dr. Regina Harglow. Dr. Harglow is a forensic pathologist with the Humboldt County Coroner's Office, brought in this morning to consult on the bodies recovered from the Argonaut. Doctor, thank you for coming on at short notice.
Of course.
Walk us through what you can share.
I can tell you what's in the preliminary intake. The full report will take weeks. The 7 bodies were brought into the county facility at about 7:30 this morning. All 7 sustained sharp force trauma, deep, ragged lacerations. The wounds are not consistent with anything you would expect to find on a working salvage vessel. Not a fish knife, not a working blade, not a tool. Several of the men had defensive injuries on their forearms. That tells me they had time to see what was coming.
If the wounds aren't from a working blade, what were they made with?
We recovered fragments from 2 of the bodies, small pieces of metal lodged in the wound tracks. I sent them to the metallurgy lab on a courtesy basis through a colleague at the university. His preliminary results came back about an hour ago. The composition is iron, hand-hammered, consistent with ironwork from the early to mid-1800s, maritime in character, likely from a blade of some kind. That is what the laboratory report says.
You're telling me the weapons used on the Argonaut crew were 19th century.
I'm telling you what the metallurgy report says. I follow the evidence. I don't interpret it.
In 1980, there was an incident in this harbor, the Seagrass trawler. 3 men dead at sea in conditions a lot of people in this town still won't talk about. Are you in a position to say whether what you're looking at today has any connection to that?
I was not the pathologist of record on the Seagrass. I have read the file. The wound patterns documented this morning are consistent with the wound patterns documented in 1980. The metal fragment analysis is consistent. The body temperature on arrival was several degrees below ambient. That last detail was also noted in the original Seagrass file. I include it because you asked.
Doctor, are these the same wounds?
They are the same wounds.
Dr. Harglow, thank you. We'll let you get back to your team. We're going to go back out to the marina for one more update. Jericho, are you still with us?
I'm here, John.
Anything from the slip in the last few minutes?
One thing. Charles Winslow's office at the Malone Hotel just confirmed that the soft opening is proceeding as scheduled. Guests are checking in this morning. The mayor's reception is still on for tonight. That's the statement from the property.
Thank you, Jericho. We will be staying with this story all morning. If you have business at the harbor, please hold off. The Coast Guard is asking civilians to keep clear of the marina until further notice. We'll be right back.
It's Tuesday morning, 11:30. This is KAB Radio 1340. I know that's not when the show usually airs. The station and I have decided to break format this morning, given what folks have been seeing and hearing around the harbor. For those of you tuning in for the first time, my name is Gary Lawson. I do the late slot on this station weeknights. This show, The Current, it goes back a long time before me. Stevie Wayne hosted this show for 30-some years. Some of you remember her. Some of you remember her from a particular night. I'm not Stevie, but the lines are open the way she always opened them. If you've got something you need to say, you call me. The number's the same it's always been. Let's go to the phones. I've got Iris on line 1. Iris, you're on. Go ahead.
Gary, hi, am I on?
You're on, sweetheart. Go ahead.
Okay. I work at the hotel? Well, I did. I quit this morning. I called you because I don't know who else to call about something like this.
Take your time, Iris. You're talking about the Malone? The new place on Spivey?
Yeah. The new place, the old church. I was on the 3rd floor doing turn-down service last night, and I went into 314, and the floor was wet. Wet like there'd been a flood. But the windows were closed. The bathroom was bone dry. The sink was dry. The tub was dry. The carpet was soaked through, Gary. Soaked. And it was cold, like ice water. And the smell, it had this god-awful smell. There were boot prints, Gary, going from the door to the bed. Wet boot prints on a carpet that had no door tracks coming in from the hallway. The prints just started in the middle of the room.
What did the hotel manager say when you reported it?
The guests had checked out that morning. Without a word, the night manager said, just left the key card on the dresser and walked out. I tried to tell my supervisor about the floor, and she said she'd send maintenance. She didn't write anything down. She didn't write anything down, Gary.
Iris, you go home. You take care of yourself today. Lock your doors. I appreciate you calling. I do. Folks, I'm going to take another caller. I've got Buddy on line 3. I know that voice. Buddy, you on?
I'm on, Gary. And I'm going to be quick because I don't have a lot to say that I can say on the radio without getting upset.
Take it easy, Buddy.
Gary, listen. Who let those people die of that wreck? Who? That's what I want to know. The Coast Guard, the state, the museum board, somebody had to sign a paper. Somebody had to say yes. Who was it?
Buddy, I don't have an answer for you on that.
Of course you don't, Gary. I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at whoever's responsible. Listen, my grandpa was on the beach the morning they pulled in the seagrass. 1980. He told me about it once. Wouldn't tell my dad. Wouldn't tell my uncles. Told me when I was 33 years old and he was dying. He said, don't ever go in that water past the rocks at Spivey. He said, the water remembers what we did. That was his line. Word for word. The water remembers what we did. He told me he saw the bodies that morning, Gary. He said the men on the seagrass had been cut. Not shot. Cut. He said it looked like something from a war that ended a long time before any of them was born. That was the last thing he ever said to me about it. And we let a salvage company go down there and rip whatever was left right out of the bottom of it. For a museum, for a hotel bar, for a gold display. Gary, this town doesn't learn.
Buddy, hey, I hear you. I'm going to let you go because I can hear it in your voice. You take a breath, all right? Call me back tonight if you want. I'll be on. All right. Last caller before the break. I've got Gilbert on the line. Gilbert, go ahead.
Gary, thank you for taking me. I'll be brief. I want to put 2 numbers in front of your audience.
Numbers, Gilbert?
Numbers. Pacific Crest Heritage Salvage filed a recovery declaration with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in March of last year. That filing is public. Anybody can pull it. The declared mass of recovered precious metal from the Elizabeth Dane wreck site as of that filing was 51 pounds. Gold, 51. The Antonio Bay Maritime Museum's grand opening prospectus, which they sent out to donors in February, also public, also pullable, lists the gold portion of the Pacific Crest donation at 9 pounds. 9. 51 minus 9. Gary, where's the 42 pounds?
Gilbert, you sure on those numbers?
I have the documents on my desk right now. The CEO of Pacific Crest is a man named Charles Winslow. Charles Winslow is also a partner in the holding company that owns the Malone Hotel. Same Charles Winslow. Same gold. The math is the math, Gary. There's a refining concern in Reno that handles the kind of work where you don't want a paper trail on the original casting. The cargo manifest from Pacific Crest Vault, dated last October, shows a single shipment going out. Gold, pre-melted. That's not in the museum's prospectus either.
Gilbert, hold the line. I want to come back to you after the break. Folks, we're going to take a short break. When I come back, I'm going to keep the lines open. If you've got something to say, you call. That's what this show has always been. Be back in 2 minutes. KAB Radio 1340, this is Gary Lawson. Stay close to your radio.
This is Napoleon Valek. You know what this show is. You know what I cover. I'm not here this morning to say I told you so. I'm here to give you a brief and a directive. Listen the whole way through. My folder on Pacific Crest Heritage Salvage and the Antonio Bay redevelopment goes back 2 years. That folder got bigger this week. What I'm going to read to you in the next 4 minutes is documented, sourced, and on file. None of this is theory. All of it is paper. First, the Malone Hotel is the rebuilt Antonio Bay Catholic Church. The same building where Father Robert Malone died on the night of April 21st, 1980. That is on the deed of trust. That is on the property history filed with the county. Anybody who tells you the connection is incidental is lying or has not read the file. Second, demolition and restoration began in May of 2024. I have the construction logs. The general contractor's name is Holcomb & Sons out of Crescent City. They run a clean log. The log is what got me here. In July of 2024, during foundation work in the church cellar, a crew uncovered a tarnished metal object buried under collapsed stone. The log entry from July 11th, quote, object recovered, estimated 18 inches, gold appearance, secured for appraisal, end quote. That object went out for appraisal 3 days later. I have the appraiser's report. I'm going to read you the operative paragraph. Quote, subject piece is cast in 22 karat gold, estimated mass post-cleaning, 14.1 pounds, estimated production date, mid to late 19th century. Object is broken at the base, indicating it was once part of a larger composite work. Form factor prior to fracture, consistent with an ornamental Christian cross, end quote. Read that paragraph again in your head. 14.1 pounds of 19th century gold cast as part of a cross found in the cellar of the Antonio Bay Catholic Church where Father Malone died. Where Father Malone is on the historical record as having pried a gold crucifix off the wall of his church at 3 a.m. on the morning of April 21st, 1980. The piece they found is what was left of it, the base, the part that broke off when he tore it down. If you do not understand what that piece is, get a copy of the survivor accounts, get the Stevie Wayne tapes from KAB, get the Etchison record, read what Father Malone offered Captain William Blake the night the fog came in, read what Blake took. Third, the appraised value of the recovered cross was $246,000. The chain of custody from the appraiser's vault shows the cross was sold in a single private transaction in October of 2024. The buyer is listed as a refining and recycling concern based out of Reno. That refiner runs an industrial smelter. Industrial smelters do one thing to gold. They melt it. The proceeds from that sale, $246,000, were wired into an account held by the holding company that owns the Malone Hotel. Used to cover construction overruns on the books. Now hear what I'm telling you. The cross that Father Malone pried off his own wall and gave to Blake to balance the books in 1980 was the only restitution that ever stopped this thing. Blake took it. The fog went back. 46 years of nothing. That cross has been gone since October of 2024. Almost 2 years. Not melted last week. 2 years. The Argonaut Rose came home empty of the living this morning because the books have been open for a year and a half. Whatever Blake is, he doesn't read calendars. He reads ledgers. The ledger has been unbalanced for almost 2 years. Somebody somewhere started counting. Here is what I need you to do in the next 12 hours. Write this down. If you live within a mile of the harbor, leave tonight. Pack a go bag if you don't have one. Drive inland. Get past the Coast Range. If you have family in Antonio Bay or any of the unincorporated stretches between Spivey Point and the lighthouse, you call them and you tell them what I just told you. Do not go to the harbor. Do not go to the hotel. Do not go to the museum. Anywhere that holds a piece of that gold is a marker. The fog finds the markers. That is what it did in 80. That is what it has come back to do. I've been wrong about a lot of things on this show. calling out the wrong people, sourcing things that didn't pan out, being early on stories I shouldn't have been early on. I have not been wrong about this town. The window for getting out is closing. That's the brief. You know where to find the documents. You know what to do.
Good evening. The story we have been on since the morning broadcast has changed shape in the last few hours. The salvage incident at the marina is now part of a larger picture, and that picture is offshore. The fog bank, our weather desk noted this morning, is now 10 miles off the coast, closing on Spy V Point at just over 1 knot, moving against the prevailing current. That is the part our weather desk cannot account for. We have eyes on it from 4 directions. Coastal weather satellites, marine radar out of Crescent City, 2 private survey drones, and a fishing charter with a Starlink rig that posted live video to social media before its feed cut to carrier static at the edge of the bank. I want to be careful with my words here. Every piece of equipment that has crossed that line has stopped working inside a minute and a half. Drones drop, marine radio goes to dead air. We're going to the coastal roads. Jericho is at the perimeter west of town. Are you with us out there?
I'm here. I'm somewhere on Highway 1. I came up out of Westport about 40 minutes ago and parked where I had a clear sight line to the bank. I want to describe what I'm looking at. The bank doesn't move the way fog moves. It looks painted on the water. The edge of it's sharp. About 15 minutes ago, the bank closed half a mile while I was standing outside the car. I had to drive back. The signal dropped while I was still outside the vehicle. By the time it came back, I was a quarter mile east of where I started.
I want to make sure I understand what you're saying.
The bank is moving faster than the radar is reading. I have backed the car up twice since I got out here. Every time I stop and get out, I lose signal inside a minute. I am running out of road to back up to.
Are you safe where you are right now?
I'm back in the car with the window down. The bank is to my right, west over the water. It's significantly closer to the highway than it was when I first parked. Closer than it has any right to be at 1 knot. That reading can't be right. Whatever is out there right now, it's not moving at 1 knot.
Stay on the line. Walk back inland if you can. We're coming back to you. For our viewers, we have the satellite overlay on screen now. The bank from above is the brightest thing in the frame. Night mode imaging is reading it as luminous. That is a fog bank generating its own light. While Jericho gets to a safer location, I want to bring in our next guest. Dr. Maggie Starker is the former consulting maritime archaeologist for Pacific Crest Heritage Salvage. She walked off that project last October. Doctor, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I should have come on the air 6 months ago. I'm here now.
Tell me why you walked off.
I was hired in March of last year. The contract said survey, documentation, recovery of period-appropriate artifacts. That's the work I do. The Elizabeth Dane is a significant clipper error wreck. By June, my team was bringing up coin and bullion. That was permitted recovery. I had no problem with that part of the work. In August, they brought up the first bodies.
A body.
Bodies, plural. Captain Blake's crew. The cold and the silt sealed them where they fell. They hadn't been touched since the night the ship went down. They were still wearing what they died in. The skin lesions were still visible. Leprosy at end stage.
Were these recoveries reported to the State Historical Authority? That is the law.
No, they weren't. I told the project lead that the recovery triggered an immediate notification under California Health and Safety Code, Section 7051. Human remains, suspected ancestral. That is not optional. He told me Pacific Crest had a private arrangement with a research facility in Eureka. The bodies were going there for study. I asked him what study. He didn't have an answer. That's when I left.
How many recoveries before you walked off?
11 crewmen. I have no idea what they brought up after I left.
Doctor, what should be done tonight?
They should have been reported to the State Historic Preservation Office the moment they were identified. That's the law. Human remains of that age from a documented wreck site. That's protected archaeological context. Pacific Crest knew that when they pulled them up. But that's not what you're asking me. Those bodies need to go back in the water tonight. Not Eureka, not a state lab, not a chain of custody form. The water, where they were before any of this started. I told the project lead that in October. I told the company's legal department in November. I sent a written warning to their regulatory liaison in January. None of it went anywhere.
Dr. Starker, thank you. Stay with us at the desk. We may come back to you. We have an update from inside town. The Malone Hotel has begun a quiet evacuation of guests on the upper floors. The night concierge didn't return from a service call to a third-floor room and hasn't been located. A guest who called the station before the phones cut described hearing the concierge's radio go silent in the corridor and then something knocking on her window from outside. Her room faced the ocean. Hotel ownership has not responded to our request for comment. Charles Winslow's office is referring all questions to a public relations firm in San Francisco. We tried to bring Jericho back during that interview. We haven't been able to get him on the line. His last position was about 3 miles west of the city limits. Jericho, if you can hear me, get inland. 2 more items before we go. Highway 1 has been restricted to emergency traffic only, south of Crescent City and north of Ukiah. As of 7 p.m., civilians on the highway should expect to be turned around at the next staff checkpoint. And the Coast Guard has confirmed that 1 helicopter sent to track the bank from above lost contact with Sector San Francisco at 5:48 p.m. That is the last confirmed information out of that flight. We will be staying with this. If you have business along the coast tonight, go inland. If you live near the harbor, go inland. Go now. We will tell you when it is over.
Good evening. This is KAB Radio 1340, and you're listening to Midnight Current. The lines have been ringing since 6 o'clock. I want to be honest with you. I watched the 6 o'clock with my supper, like it was a regular Tuesday. I sat at my kitchen table and I ate my food while the doctor on the news told me there are bodies up at Eureka. If you've got something to say tonight, you call. Caller, you're on with Gary. Go ahead.
Hi, Gary. This is Kelly. I teach Sunday school out at First Light in Ferndale. I've called your show maybe 3 times in my life. Always about something local. I'm calling about the hotel they built on sacred ground.
Go ahead.
You can't turn a sanctuary into a wet bar. You can't take pews out of a church and recycle them into countertops. You can't serve cocktails over them. The ground does not forget what it is. That place was a sanctuary. Father Malone died inside it, on the altar steps, trying to give back what was stolen. And we let them gut it. For tourists. I drove past it this afternoon, on my way to pick up groceries. The valet stand is set up where the Mary Garden used to be. The doors were propped open. I could see the bar from the road. I've been reading my Bible, Gary. I was on Malachi 3:8. Will a man rob God? Yet you have robbed me. But I closed the book. Some scripture is supposed to make you feel held. That one wasn't holding me. I just felt it on the page, and I had to call somebody.
You called the right place. Talk to me later if you need to. Thank you, Kelly. Folks, the line's still open. Caller, you're on. Go ahead.
Gary, this is Harold. Harold Blair used to fish out of Noyo, retired merchant marine.
I know who you are, Harold. Go ahead.
I'm going to make this short. I want you to repeat it on the air after I'm done. Get off the peninsula. Not inland. Off. I was 17 years old in 1980. My father was on the volunteer crew that cleaned the Antonio Bay Catholic Church the morning after. He took me with him. That was either a kindness or a cruelty. I'm still not sure which one. I saw what was left of Father Malone. I saw what a sailor's saber will do to a man at close range. I'm telling you that on the air because nobody else who saw it is alive to. I remember the smell of that morning. Salt water on a church floor that should have been dry. Wax, old pew wood. That's what a church smells like when something has happened in it that shouldn't have. This one is bigger. Dr. Starker said on the news there are bodies up at Eureka. That's 2 hours inland. Get east. Get into the mountains if you can. Take water. Take warm clothes. That's what I'm doing. Or just stay here and wait for the fog to get you.
Harold, I hear you. Folks, you heard him. Harold says to get off the peninsula. Not inland. Off. That's a man who's been around water his whole life and saw firsthand what happened here in 1980. I'm not adding to it, Harold said. That man came on this radio to tell you the truth, and that's what he did. I'm going to let it sit. For the rest of you out there listening, you make your own call on it. Caller, you're on. Go ahead.
I'm Lindsay. I'm in the car. I'm on Highway 1, southbound, just past Cleone. I'm not stopped. I can't stop right now.
Slow down for me. What's happening out there?
I came south down the one about an hour ago. The fog was on the water, but it was off to my right. I had no reason to think anything was wrong. Then the shape started on the shoulder of the road, walking the same direction the highway runs, north toward Antonio Bay. Not people. Tall. Slow. They don't move the way people move. When I drove through the stretch of road where they were walking, my windshield fogged over from the outside. I saw 30 of them in 5 miles, maybe more. I stopped counting because I had to keep my eyes on the road. And they were not from anywhere I could place.
Are you seeing them right now?
I'm past where I saw them. I'm past Cleone. There's nobody behind me on the road. Nobody in front of me either. I haven't passed another car in the last 10 minutes. The highway is mine.
Lindsay, keep driving. Keep moving. When you get to Garberville, you stop at the diner there. You go inside.
I won't.
Folks, that's 3 callers in 20 minutes telling me something is wrong out on the coast. If you've got somebody who lives near the harbor, you call them. Don't text them. Make them pick up. If you're listening from out near Spivey, you call me when this song's done. I want to know you're still on the line. I'm going to play one song. When it's done, I'm coming back. Stay close to your radio. I'm here.
Good evening. It's 8:17 p.m. The story we've been on since this morning has moved, and where it's moved to is not where we were hoping. The bank our weather desk had at 10 miles when we left you at 7:30 is now reading on coastal radar at just under 3 miles from Spivey Point. That's a 7-mile gain in 45 minutes. Whatever pace we had earlier, it's not the pace we're dealing with now. Every drone dispatched to map the bank's edge since 7 o'clock has dropped. 7:58. Highway 1 through Humboldt County is restricted to emergency traffic as of 8 p.m. confirmed by the California Highway Patrol. Closures run from the Leggett Junction south to Cloverdale, eastbound only. Drivers on the road right now are being turned back at the next staff checkpoint. A Coast Guard helicopter dispatched to track the bank from above lost contact with Sector San Francisco at 5:48 p.m., and a second aircraft aloft as of 7 o'clock hasn't reported back. Jericho Palmer, our field reporter, has been at the Malone Hotel on Spivey Point since 7:40 p.m. tonight. We're going out to him now. Jericho, what do you see?
I'm in the back parking lot. Guests for the past 40 minutes have been coming out through the service exit in their coats without looking back. A security guard with a flashlight is pointing them to their cars. They're all going east. Nobody's taking the harbor road. The front of the property, the water-facing side, I can't account for from here. There's a service wall and a full row of cedar trees between where I'm standing right now and the main entrance on the west side. The hotel sign was lit when I pulled in at 7:40. It isn't now.
What's the temperature out there? Can you describe the air?
It's cold. Cold in a way that doesn't match the season or what the weather app was showing me when I parked the car. I've got a jacket on and I can feel it through the jacket. The air is completely still, not a coast kind of still. Nothing's moving. The cedar trees between me and the front entrance, they're not moving either. Whatever the temperature is, it's lower than the forecast by at least 10 degrees. There's no fog here yet, but something about the air on this side of the hotel is off, and it's been off since I stepped out of the car.
What about the evacuation? Any hotel management on site with guidance?
The security guard quit answering my questions around 8, just moving people. My signal out here at the edge of the lot has been cutting every few minutes, and each time it comes back, I'm a little further east than I was. I've moved the car twice.
Stay on the line if you can. For our viewers, what we know about the Malone situation at this hour, nothing new from management. Their public relations contact in San Francisco did not return a call placed at 7:45, and their representatives at the property have been silent since 7:50 p.m.
John, hold on. There's a man crossing the lot toward me in a white dress shirt and no jacket. Hotel staff, from the look of him. Sir, you're on the air with KTAB right now. Go ahead.
You are the news. I've been out here 10 minutes looking for somebody to tell this to. I was on the 3rd floor, doing turnover checks on rooms that had already cleared, just making sure the housekeeping log matched what the front desk had. I heard the concierge on her radio talking to the desk. We call her Annie, something about cold water in room 312. Her voice stopped, like a dial turned, and then my ears, standing right there in that 3rd floor corridor, did something they'd never done before inside a building. A pressure like a plane in final descent.
What happened to her?
I opened my door about 2 inches. The corridor lights were out all the way down the hall. Her handset, sitting on the carpet in the dark about 15 feet from where I was standing, was making the sound a radio makes when nobody's on the frequency anymore. Not static. That's not the right word for it. The frequency that sounds like nothing. Just a channel sitting open with nobody on the other end of it, and the whole corridor dark on both sides of where that handset was sitting.
Which side of the building does room 312 face?
West. The rooms on the west end of 3 faced the ocean. The door to 312 was open a few inches. The room in April had gone cold enough that I could feel it from where I was standing in the corridor. There was a shape against the glass from outside, taller than the frame. That's not wind. Whatever it was came from the other side of the glass.
What did you hear against the glass?
One knock. I didn't wait for the second. I mean, if there was a second. Down 4 flights of stairs without looking back or up at any of them, and out through the service exit at a run. I don't know who else is still inside.
Are you certain the concierge is still inside?
Her radio's on the carpet out there. That's everything I know.
John, I'm losing signal. The lot lights, every single one of them at once, just went out across the whole back side of the parking area. There's a sound on the metal canopy above the service entrance, the overhang that covers the exit door on the east side of the building. That's right where I'm standing. Something just hit it from above. 3. A pause. John, there are 3 more now, and it's...
Jericho. Jericho, are you still on the line? Jericho Palmer, if you're hearing this on the car radio, call back in on the station landline. We'll be right back.
This is Jack Calder. You're listening to The Prepared Paranoid. I'm recording Tuesday night, the 20th. The bay is at 10 miles offshore. I want this on the record before it isn't 10 anymore. I've done 8 episodes on Antonio Bay since 2021. The first one was about the cross sale. The most recent one ran last March. None of them moved a number I could measure. Tonight my guest is Sarah Chambers. She wrote the book on the 1980 incident. Sarah, thank you for coming on tonight in particular.
Thank you, Jack. I want to be on the record too.
For the listeners, walk me through who you are.
True crime author. I started researching the 1980 incident in 2020. The book came out the year before last. 6 years on one story is the longest I've spent on anything. I came to it sideways. I was working on a book about West Coast lighthouses. Spivey Point was the chapter that ate the rest of the project. Stevie Wayne ran the broadcast out of that lighthouse for 28 years after the incident. I went up there to interview her about the building. I came home with a different book. I interviewed every survivor of the original incident who was still alive when I started. Stevie, Nick Castle, Elizabeth Solly.
What about the people who didn't make it? Kobritz, O'Bannon.
Dan O'Bannon is in the county record. He was the station weatherman, tracked the fog's movement from his desk until it came through the door. Mrs. Kobritz passed before I started the project. Her son had her files. He gave them to me on the condition I never sell them. I haven't.
What about Andy Wayne?
Andy doesn't speak about that night. Not since he was 11 years old. I respect that.
Walk me through what you have that nobody else has.
I have access to both documents. Patrick Malone's journal, the grandfather's confession, is in the county archive. That's the one Father Robert found when the masonry crumbled in 1980. The county took possession in 82 as part of the church's estate transfer. The document I want to talk about tonight is separate. A leather journal recovered from the sacristy with Father Robert's personal effects after his death. It never went to the county archive. It went to the diocese. The diocesan archivist is a friend. She let me read it.
What does the journal look like?
Leather bound. Italian binding. First 190 pages in fountain pen. The last 6 are in ballpoint. The handwriting changes. It gets faster on the last 3 pages. That's not the hand of a man composing. That's the hand of a man writing as fast as he can.
Tell me about the cross. Tell it the way Malone wrote it, not the way the Reno smelter described it.
Father Malone never wrote about the sale. He died in 1980. The sale happened in 2024. What he wrote about in 80 was the math of restitution. That's the part one want to go through tonight.
Go through it.
I'm going to paraphrase. I won't put exact passages in a podcast. The journal entry is from April 20th. The day before he died, Malone had figured out what Blake wanted from the founders. He calls it the Book of Names. 6 founding families profited from the wreck. Blake's claim against them wasn't scaled by family size. It was 1 life per conspirator. 6 families, 6 lives. That's the math the original event was running on.
I documented that in 2021. 6 deaths for 6 founders. I had the number right. I had the reasoning wrong.
5 before Malone. The 6th was Father Malone himself. The math closed exactly when he gave Blake the cross. The descendants of the founding families scattered inside a year. Most of them left California for good. The ones who stayed kept their heads down. The piece that's not in any of your episodes is what Malone was working through in the journal entry. The piece that came before he made his choice.
The cross.
He hadn't decided yet. He didn't decide to give Blake the cross until 2 a.m. on the morning of April 21st. The journal entry from the night before lays out the reasoning he was working through. And it's not the reasoning we've been told.
Walk me through it.
Malone was a Catholic priest. He believed in restitution as a sacrament. The simple version of restitution would be return the gold itself, but the gold had been melted, coined, distributed. By 1885, there was no original gold left to return. Malone realized something the founders hadn't. Once gold has been touched by hands, the hands carry it. Blake's claim doesn't stop at the gold itself.
What did he consider first?
Exhumation. His own parishioners, pulling the founders' bones out of the church cemetery and giving them over to the captain. He decided against it because it wouldn't satisfy the claim. Blake wasn't after the men who took the gold. Blake was after the gold itself. And the gold was already in the building, on the wall, cast into a cross. Malone uses one word over and over in those last 6 pages: receivers. The Book of Names is a list of receivers.
Okay.
The claim extends to anyone whose hands have touched the gold from a founder's share, whoever held the coin, whoever spent it, whoever inherited it, whoever paid for the building it built.
Okay, that's new. Walk me through what that means for 2026.
The cross that came out of that cellar last summer is the same gold Malone was talking about in the journal. Different shape, same gold. Pacific Crest pulled it out. Holcomb & Sons handled it during construction. The appraiser examined it. The buyer in Reno bought it. The smelter melted it. Every one of those people has touched the gold since it left the cellar. Each one of them took something with them, whether they knew it or not.
How long is that list?
Some of it's untraceable. The smelter didn't hold the full run as bars. A portion went to coin dealers, gold rounds, bullion coins, cash sales with no name attached. Some went to a jewelry manufacturer in Sacramento. Those pieces are somewhere. I don't know where. I don't know who's wearing them.
There's no way to count that end of it.
The crew at Pacific Crest, the construction crew, hotel staff who handled the proceeds, the investors in the holding company that owns the hotel. I had a researcher run the chain of payments through the holding company's filings. The proceeds touched 78 separate accounts in the first 6 months.
78?
42 of those accounts are individuals. The other 36 are funds. There's a teacher's retirement plan in Oregon that holds a position in the holding company. That's 3,000 teachers. None of them have heard of Antonio Bay. Once you start counting through, the number is in the low thousands. Not all of them are in California. Most of them have never been to this town.
And Blake has a claim on them.
If Malone was right, yes. I spent 4 years on the speaking circuit saying this story had an ending.
The cross was the only restitution because it was the original gold, reduced to a sacred object, returned to the sea by a priest's hand.
That's the version Malone settled on at 2 a.m. 45 years later, it's been pried out of the cellar and run through a smelter. The original is gone.
There's no other restitution available.
Not in any form Malone described.
Did you tell anyone?
I sent a copy of the relevant section to Pacific Crest's General Counsel last October. I sent another copy to the holding company that owns the hotel. I sent a third to the research director at the Eureka facility. I haven't heard back from any of them.
You picked tonight to come on the show.
Tonight is the eve of April 21st. I picked tonight.
The 146th anniversary.
The notebook doesn't explain what triggers a second event. Malone never got to write that part.
Before we close, Dr. Starker said tonight on the news that the bodies of Blake's crew need to go back in the water where they were before. What's the journal say about that?
The journal doesn't address the crew. Malone wasn't thinking about the dead. He was thinking about the captain. The captain was the one with the claim. The crew was just sick men who died with him.
Dr. Starker's wrong, then.
I didn't say that. I said the journal doesn't address it. She might be right, and Malone might never have known.
One more question. Is there anything Stevie Wayne told you that you've been carrying?
She said the wrongness of it never left. She said when she stood on Spivey Point at midnight on a clear night, she could still feel the fog and the dead that were in it. She's been gone 4 years. I keep thinking she's lucky.
Sarah, thank you for tonight.
I want to say one more thing, if you have time.
Sure thing.
If you ever invested in the Malone Hotel project, if you bought stock in the holding company that owns the property, if you took a gift basket from an opening night vendor, even indirectly, don't go to bed thinking it doesn't include you. That's all.
Sarah, you just terrified a lot of people. We'll be back tomorrow night if there's a station to broadcast from. If you're awake at 2 a.m. Pacific tonight, that's the hour Father Malone gave Blake the cross. You think about that. Stay close. Stay quiet. This is Jack.
Good evening. It is just after 9:30 here in the studio. We have not been able to reach Jericho Palmer in over an hour. I want to start tonight with something we don't usually do at this desk. We have a guest seated next to me. She has not been on this air in 16 years. Leigh Cunningham anchored this newscast from 1968 to 2010. She was at this desk on the night of April 21st, 1980. She agreed to come back tonight when I called her this afternoon. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for asking. I almost said no.
What made you decide to come on?
Because I sat down in front of the television at 6 and I didn't get up again. Not for the 8 o'clock. Not for any of it. And I knew what I was looking at. I knew it before the doctor finished her sentence.
Walk me through that night. 1980. Walk me through what it was like at this desk.
It started the way tonight started. A boat at the marina with men on it who shouldn't have been dead. The Seagrass. I led the 11 o'clock with it. By midnight, my field reporter wasn't answering. His name was Jimmy McGill. He was 31. He has a daughter who lives in Sacramento now. I called her on his birthday for the next 20 years. Father Malone walked into the studio that night. He had a leather book under his coat. He was sober for the first time in 9 months. He told me what was in the book. I didn't believe him.
What changed your mind?
Eventually, the fog hit Spivey Point at 1:35. Stevie Wayne came on the air from the lighthouse. She kept broadcasting. She kept telling people where to go. I was in this building. The phones started failing block by block. I drove the news van to the parking lot of a Methodist church up on the ridge and broadcast from there until dawn. And when the fog lifted, I drove back down the hill. I didn't know if I'd been talking to anybody. The signal was going out. I had no way to know if a single soul was hearing me.
Were they hearing you?
Some of them, the ones who lived. I have letters in a box at home from people who said my voice in the dashboard kept them moving. I didn't know that for years.
What do you want to say to the people listening tonight?
You aren't hearing the same thing I heard in 80. You're hearing it earlier. That's the difference. We didn't know what was coming. We didn't have the journal until Father Malone walked through the door. You know...
Can I ask you something the historians have argued about for 46 years?
Go ahead.
When Father Malone walked into your studio at 1:15 in the morning, did he already know what he was going to do?
No. He came to me because I had a microphone and could warn people. He wanted the journal read on the air. He wanted the names of the founders read out before he died. I refused.
Why?
Because the descendants of those families were watching my broadcast. 6 families, about 40 people in this town, children among them. I told him he was crazy. He left and went straight to the church. He pried the cross off the wall by himself. That was his decision, not mine.
Have you ever told anyone that before?
My husband, the author who interviewed me 4 years ago. She didn't put it in the book. I asked her not to. She honored that.
We're getting something on the line. Hold on. Jericho. Jericho, are you there? We've been trying to reach you for over an hour.
I'm here. I'm at a gas station. The Chevron at the top of the ridge. I walked up. I don't know how long it took me. The clerk let me in and locked the door.
Are you safe?
The fog is on the hill. Below us, the lights down at the harbor are gone. Just the bank where the lights used to be. The power keeps going. The fluorescents flicker for about 10 seconds and then come back. Something is moving outside. The clerk had the lights off behind the counter. I looked through the store toward the front glass and then I looked away. There was a shape on the other side of the pumps, in the dark beyond the canopy where the light from inside didn't reach, just standing around the building. Slow. There's a sound on the metal of the pump canopy, like a knuckle, steady. It's been going for about 7 minutes. Same rhythm, doesn't stop.
I remember that sound.
Jericho, who's at the gas station with you.
The clerk. His name is Dan. He's in the back office with his daughter. She's 8. 2 truckers came in about 20 minutes before I did. They're up front with me. One of them brought a hunting rifle in from his cab. I don't know if that's going to do anything.
It won't. Tell him to put it down. Tell him to keep the door locked. Tell him not to look out the window.
Stay on the line. Stay where you are. We're going to keep this connection open as long as we have it. For our viewers, an update on what's happening in the rest of the area. The Coast Guard has lost a second helicopter attempting to map the bank. The first was confirmed at 5:48. The second went down about 30 minutes ago. The Eureka facility holding the recovered crew remains has not been heard from in 90 minutes. State authorities are en route. They have not arrived. And we are getting word that the governor will be addressing the state at 10 o'clock. We will bring that to you live when it happens. Leigh, you mentioned letters. What did the letters say?
They said the same thing mostly, that hearing a voice on the radio kept them awake, kept them driving, kept them deciding to live for one more block. I think that's the job tonight. I'm not leaving this desk.
We're glad to have you here. We're going to take a brief station ID. Jericho, don't hang up. Just leave the line open. We'll be right back.
It's 11:15, and I'm still here. I just watched my engineer carry a battery pack across the parking lot. The streetlights on the boulevard are out. The traffic signal at the corner is dead. I haven't heard a car go past in 20 minutes. That's never happened on this block. I've got a caller waiting. She came through about 30 seconds ago. Go ahead, you're on.
It's Iris from this morning, the hotel. I came back. I needed my last paycheck. I'm so stupid.
You're not stupid. Where are you in the building?
The kitchen, behind the line. There's a walk-in. The fog came in through the front doors. They never closed them. The valet stand. The guests are still in their rooms.
The guests are upstairs.
I can hear them walking. Above me. They walk and then they stop. They stop for a long time, then they walk again. The bar where the altar was, there's water on the floor of the bar coming up through the tile. I saw it before I came back here. I'm gonna get in the walk-in. The freezer. There are wet footprints on the kitchen floor. They came in here. They came in and they left. There are bodies, Gary. I need to hide.
Iris, listen to me. Do that. Get inside. Stay quiet. Don't open it for anything until you hear sirens or daylight. We're going to try and get in touch with the police.
I will.
Folks, that woman's name is Iris. She's hiding in a freezer because she came back to work for a check. The fog is in the hotel and she has found bodies. If anyone can help, please help. We're calling the police now. Let's go to our next caller. Caller, you're on. Go ahead.
Gilbert Lomax. Called you this morning.
I remember you. What do you got?
I've been on the police scanner for the last 3 hours. The Eureka facility. The one holding what Pacific Crest pulled out of the wreck. Their last outbound call to dispatch was at 9:42 p.m. Routine check-in. Voice sounded fine. 9:46. An emergency dispatcher in Humboldt County tried to raise them on the landline. Nothing. She rolled a unit at 9:51. The unit got within half a mile of the building, and the cruiser went silent. That's 2 cops who aren't responding either. Whatever you think this is, it's not staying on the coast. I just heard a highway patrol unit out of Willow Creek try to raise dispatch. That's 70 miles east of Eureka, 70 miles inland. He didn't get an answer either. The dispatcher's mic is open. I can hear her breathing. She's not saying anything. She's been on that channel for 19 minutes.
Eureka is 2 hours inland.
2 hours by car. The bodies were transported up there in a refrigerated truck last August. Pacific Crest paid for the truck. Wherever the bodies are, the fog goes. That's what I'm telling you. The fog is following them.
Gilbert, what about the truck driver?
His name was Robert Hayes, 28 years, driving for the company. Made 11 runs from the wreck site to Eureka between August and February. He had a heart attack at home in March. 49 years old, healthy man. Pacific Crest sent flowers.
You're not telling me that's connected.
I'm not telling you anything. I'm telling you he made the runs. I'm telling you he's dead. You can do the rest of the math yourself.
Stay on the line if you've got more. Caller, you're on with Gary.
It's Lindsay, from earlier. I made it to Garberville. I'm at the diner.
Good. Lindsay, thank you.
I want to tell you something I didn't tell you before.
Go on.
I was counting them. The shapes. When I called you the first time, I said I stopped at 30. I didn't stop at 30. I stopped at 67. I just told myself I was seeing things, but I know I'm not crazy. And I want to tell you something else. They were not all the same.
What do you mean?
Most of them were tall, wearing what looked like long coats. Old, I think. But there were others. There were people in normal clothes, walking the same direction, the same way, slow, I think those were the truck drivers, the construction crew, the hotel concierge, the man who lost the helicopter. That's what I think. Whoever Blake is taking. He's adding them to the line. That's what I saw. Gary, can I ask you something?
Yes.
Have you ever stayed at the Malone Hotel?
Lindsay, no, I haven't. I bought a Christmas wreath from their gift shop in December. I gave it to my sister. That's the closest I've come. Stay at the diner. Don't go back outside until somebody from the National Guard comes through. You hear me?
I hear you.
Folks, the governor is coming on at 10. That's about 15 minutes from now. I'm going to stay on the air through it. I'll bring you back when he's done. I don't know what he's going to say. I'm going to listen the same as you. I think we should listen to it the same way we'd listen to anybody, carefully. If you're listening from a freezer somewhere, if you're driving somewhere safe, if you're sitting at a table at a diner in Garberville with your hands shaking, I'm with you. Don't hang up. I'm not going anywhere either.
This recording was made on April 3rd in a diner in Arcata. Andy Wayne is the son of Stevie Wayne. He drove 2 hours north to sit across from me in a corner booth, and he talked for close to 3 hours. Sarah Chambers told me on last week's episode that you turned her down every time she asked. 6 years of requests and nothing. Why me?
You'd ask specifically about the coin. In the emails and the contact form, you asked about the coin, and nobody had ever asked me specifically about the coin before. They asked about my mother, about the night, not about the morning before.
What did it feel like?
Off. In the wet sand at the tide line, it was sitting in a small crater, like something had placed it rather than let the water bring it in. Gold is denser than you'd expect from something that small. Whatever I was feeling wasn't just the weight, it registered as not mine.
You picked it up. What happened when you threw it back?
Nothing at the time. The water took it and I stood there for a few seconds and then walked back up to the house. It took years before I understood what that felt like. It wasn't throwing something away. It was giving something back to someone I couldn't see.
Your mother was at the Spivey Point Lighthouse all night tracking the fog. You were at home with your babysitter.
She was already there, Mrs. Cobritz. When the fog started coming around the outside of the house, she told me to go to my bedroom, shut the windows, and stay there. I heard the front door from down the hall. I heard her open it.
What did you do?
The fog came under the door, not all at once, a line of it at the floor, moving down the hall toward my room. I was on the bed. At some point, I got off the bed and sat against the wall on the far side of it, between the mattress and the window. My mother's voice was coming from somewhere else in the house, from the kitchen radio, and I could hear it, but I couldn't make out the words from where I was.
What was she saying? Do you remember?
She was describing the fog bank and where it was moving.
Did she ever talk about it afterward?
With me, yes. She waited until I was older, old enough that knowing wouldn't break something in me, is how she put it. She said what happened at that lighthouse was between her and whatever was in the water that night. She died in 2022.
Did she think it was over after that night?
She said she thought it was over the way a debt is over when you've made good on it. You don't owe anymore.
Survivors from that night all described the same thing at their doors, knocks on their doors. Is that what you heard?
It was at my door. Whatever came down the hall stopped at my door. 3 knocks and then nothing, and the nothing was long enough that I thought it was done. Then 3 more. I didn't move.
What do you remember from the window?
The hook coming through the wood. That's the thing. Not the knocking, the hook. And then the window behind me came in, and it was Nick Castle's hand reaching through it.
Your mother was up in that lighthouse the whole time, talking to the town on air. What was it like hearing her voice from where you were?
She filled it. Every time the knocking stopped and the silence came back, her voice was already there in the kitchen, coming out of the radio. She was talking to the town, not to me. But from where I was sitting on that floor, it was enough.
You didn't stay on that floor all night. Nick Castle and Elizabeth Dane came for it.
Through the window. I didn't hear them pull up.
Fast forward, you moved away from Antonio Bay, you didn't give interviews, and you went quiet for a long time. You told me when we first spoke that you'd been watching the Malone Hotel go up on news sites for 2 years before you finally called. What made you pick up the phone?
You get good at the short version. 1980, Antonio Bay, my mother on the radio, me inside the house. It was real. This is the first time I've told anyone the long version of this.
When did you find out the cross was gone? The actual cross from the church wall?
2023. Someone who knew my background sent me a piece from an architecture publication about the hotel project. It mentioned in passing a gold element removed from the cellar during renovation and processed for material value. That's how it was described. I read it 3 times. I called 6 state offices over the next 6 months. Nothing. One person called me back to say the structure had been legally sold and all materials on site were the legal property of the developer. That was the end of it.
So you called me?
You'd asked about the coin. I figured if you knew to ask about that, you already knew enough that telling you the rest of it might actually go somewhere and you wouldn't think I was crazy.
Sarah Chambers said that cross got melted down and the gold ended up in commercial products. Do you know where it went?
A manufacturer in Sacramento bought from that smelter in early 2025. Jewelry, mostly. I've traced several hundred pieces back to that batch. That's where the cross ended up. The Pacific Crest salvage gold is a different trail, and I know less about that one. What I do have, I've sent to a researcher at Humboldt State who's still pulling on it.
What do you want people to do? Somebody in Sacramento bought a gold ring last year and has no idea where the metal came from. What's the ask?
Find out where your gold came from. If you bought jewelry in Northern California or Nevada in the last year and a half, and you can trace it back to that smelter batch from late 2024, reach out to me through the site. I'll walk you through what I know. And if it's part of this, I'll tell you what I think you should do with it. Put it back in the water.
When you say return it to the water?
I mean the ocean. Not sell it, not hand it off to someone else and start the problem over from a different direction. The specific water off Spivey Point would be my recommendation if someone asks.
Andy Wayne, thank you. The link to his contact form is in the show notes. Take care of each other.
following message is transmitted at the request of the Antonio Bay Mayor's office. This is an emergency action notification for the municipality of Antonio Bay. A coastal hazard has been declared for all areas within 5 miles of the water, from Spivey Point to the harbor. This is not a drill. All residents within the designated zone are instructed to move immediately to inland locations above 1,000 feet elevation. Do not approach coastal roads. Do not approach beaches. Do not approach harbors or marinas. If you are currently in transit within 15 miles of the coastline, alter your route immediately to move eastward. Abandon your vehicle if traffic prevents eastward movement, and proceed on foot to higher elevation. Local law enforcement and emergency services are unable to provide evacuation assistance within the hazard zone at this time. You must evacuate independently. Do not contact 911 unless you are experiencing a life-threatening medical emergency. Do not contact local authorities for hazard updates. Telephone lines must remain clear for official use. Evacuation routes on Highway 101 are restricted to northbound and southbound traffic leaving the hazard zone. All westbound access routes are closed. Barricades are in place. Do not attempt to bypass barricades. This is an emergency action notification for Humboldt County and Del Norte County. A coastal hazard has been declared. The hazard is currently moving inland. Move immediately to elevations above 1,000 feet. Shelter in place is not a viable option for this event. Buildings will not provide adequate protection. You must seek elevation. Take only essential medications. Do not attempt to secure personal property. Do not attempt to locate missing family members within the hazard zone. The time of this alert is 9:20 p.m. Stand by for further instructions on this frequency.
We are going to the state capitol now. The governor of California, Joe Butler, is preparing to address the state. This is a recorded message. It was filmed about 30 minutes ago in his office in Sacramento. We will be airing the address in full. We will return to our coverage immediately afterward. Lee Cunningham remains here at the desk with me. Jericho Palmer is still on an open line from a gas station above the harbor. Here is the governor.
Good evening, my fellow Californians. I'm sitting here in the office. The lights are on. The lights are on for a lot of folks tonight, and for some folks they're not. And I want to talk to both of you tonight. Earlier today, around 6 o'clock our time, we became aware of a significant atmospheric and public safety incident affecting the coastal communities of Humboldt County. That's the language my staff gave me. I'm going to use it because it's accurate. The folks up there are going through something tonight. I want them to know I'm thinking about them. My wife Janet and I, we lit a candle in the kitchen tonight. That's the thing my mother used to do. She lit a candle when she didn't know what else to do. And let me tell you, my mother knew what to do most of the time. But sometimes you light a candle. That's where I am tonight. Now, let me get to the substance here. I have, as of around 7:30 this evening, activated the California National Guard. Units from the 409th and the 79th are mobilizing as I speak. I have been on the phone with the White House. I have been on the phone with the Coast Guard. Every level of government in this country is working tonight. I have also, by executive order, closed Highway 1, closed it, north of Ukiah, south of Crescent City. That closure is in effect for emergency traffic only, and it will remain in effect until I personally lift it. Now, I got to level with you. I got to level with you folks. Those closures mean it's going to take some hours, 6, 7 hours, before our resources can get to where they need to be. That's a hard thing to say. If you are in the affected area tonight, if you are listening to me from one of those communities, I want you to shelter in place, lock your doors, stay away from windows. And if your neighbor is alone, you knock on their door. That's what folks do. I was thinking on the way over here, I was thinking about, my dad used to watch It's a Wonderful Life every Christmas. Every single Christmas, the whole movie. The thing about that movie, the thing my dad used to say about it, was that the town saves the man in the end. the whole town, coming through the door with what they have. That's California tonight. That's what I want from you. That's what I'm asking. I have spoken this afternoon with several mayors from the affected area. Some of them, they don't have a way to call out right now, but I want them to know I have spoken with them. There was a young woman. She works for the county. She told me her name, and I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. She told me her grandmother lived through the 80 incident. I'm not going to pretend I don't know what she meant. I have read the briefings. I am not tonight going to speculate on the cause of what's happening up there. That's not my job tonight. My job tonight is the response, and the response is going to be a California response, which means we show up for each other. We have done it through fires. We have done it through earthquakes. We're going to do it tonight. Folks listening from the rest of the state, from the valley, from the bay, from down south, don't try to get up there tonight. I know some of you have family up there. I know some of you are scared, but the highway is closed for a reason. And it's not just so the trucks can get through. It's because we don't fully know yet the shape of what's happening up there. And until we do, the safe place is where you are. I'll be addressing the state again at 6 a.m. Earlier, if there's something the public needs to hear, my office will keep updating the emergency channels through the night. I want to close with this. I believe in this state. I believe in the people who live in it. I'm not going to stop believing in it tonight. Hold on for each other. That's all I'm asking. Good night, and God bless you. And God bless the state of California.
That was Governor Joe Butler from his office in Sacramento. The California National Guard has been activated. Units from the 409th and 79th are mobilizing. Highway 1 is closed to all but emergency traffic between Ukiah and Crescent City. The governor's estimate is 6 to 7 hours before federal and state resources reach the affected communities. He has asked residents in those areas to shelter in place and to look in on neighbors who may be alone. He did not name the 1980 incident directly. He did acknowledge a county worker whose grandmother lived through it. He said he has read the briefings. His next address is scheduled for 6 a.m. tomorrow. We will bring it to you. Good evening. It is just before midnight. We are broadcasting on backup power. Cell service in Antonio Bay went dark at 11:22 p.m. Our Starlink uplink dropped 4 minutes after that. The signal you are hearing tonight is running through a copper landline from this desk to the transmitter on the ridge. I have Lee Cunningham next to me. I have Jericho Palmer on a handheld radio inside the town. I have a Coast Guard commander on a separate line. We are going to start with the Coast Guard. Commander Alan Sherman is at Sector San Francisco. Commander, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Tell me what you have.
I'm going to tell it straight. I have very little good news to give you tonight. We have moved 6 surface vessels toward Antonio Bay since 2 o'clock this afternoon. Every one of them turned back inside 4 miles of the bank. Engines stall, compasses spin. Crews report they cannot hold heading. We sent 2 helicopters to map the bank from above. The first lost contact at 5:48 p.m. The second went down in open water at 10:06 tonight. We have not recovered either crew. The pilot of the second aircraft transmitted for 16 seconds before the feed ended. California National Guard ground units approached on Highway 1 at 22:30. Vehicles stopped running inside 300 feet of the bank. Soldiers report figures moving in the fog who stay in the shadows. They report that these figures will attack when you get close with what appear to be ancient swords and knives. They have attempted to fire at these individuals, but nothing affects them.
How many people are inside Antonio Bay tonight?
Permanent population is about 3,600, plus tourists at the hotel, plus traffic that didn't get out before the closures.
Are any of your assets able to reach them tonight?
No. I am ordered to tell the public that we are working the problem. We are working the problem. I will not lie to you about the timeline.
What about Eureka?
Eureka is the other piece I have for you. State troopers we sent to the research facility at 9:51 p.m. went silent inside the building. Local police assembled a follow-up team at 11. Same result. I have 11 personnel unaccounted for at that site. I am working off the assumption they are gone.
Gone?
Yes.
Commander, thank you. Stay on the line. Jericho, can you hear me?
I'm here. I'm not at the gas station anymore. The clerk's brother-in-law lives 2 streets down. Brick house. We came on foot when the lights went. There are 7 of us inside the house. 3 children. Youngest is 4 years old.
Are you safe?
There is a sound on the front door. We've been hearing it for 40 minutes. Same rhythm. 3 knocks. A pause that goes longer than the knocking does, long enough that you start to think it's over. Then 3 more. It's on every door in this neighborhood.
Every door?
I went up to the 2nd floor and looked out a bedroom window. I wish I didn't. There is one outside every house on this street standing close to the door with its back to the street. The porch lights are all dead. The fog is doing the lighting. I can see them well enough. They haven't moved between knocks. The one outside this house, the clothing, whatever it was before the water got to it, looks like something that spent 150 years submerged. When the wind comes down the street, the trees move and the cars move and the flags on the front porches move. It doesn't. There aren't 6. There are hundreds. They are not counting. They are just knocking.
He's right. In 1980, Blake came for the descendants. 6 families, specific names, specific houses. Tonight, he is at every door.
Why?
Because the cross is gone. Because what stopped him in 80 isn't there to stop him tonight. He isn't asking who is, and isn't a descendant.
John.
Yes?
The little girl just asked me a question. She asked if her mom is still on the next street over. The mother went out around 8 to look for the brother-in-law. She didn't come back. Nobody told the kid.
Jericho, don't tell her anything you don't know.
I won't.
Excuse me. The lights in the studio just dipped. They came back. I'm being told by my engineer that we lost commercial power on the Ridge transmitter. The transmitter is on its own backup battery. That gives us, depending on draw, 90 to 120 minutes.
John, if you have to leave the building, take the spare unit out of my car. It's set up in the trunk. Portable transmitter. 40-watt antenna.
You brought that with you tonight.
I have kept it in my trunk for 16 years.
Thank you. Jericho, are you still there?
I'm here. John, the knocking just stopped. All at once. Every door. At the same second. I can hear feet. Walking. Going somewhere. Hold on. They're going down to the harbor. All of them. The same direction.
All of them?
Wait. The one on this door. It hasn't.
Jericho. Jericho, are you there? We have lost contact with our field reporter. Folks, we will keep trying to raise it. The handheld may have just lost its battery. We don't know yet. Commander Sherman, are you still on the line?
I'm here.
Anything new from your end?
My satellite imagery just lost the bank. The optical can't see it anymore. The infrared can't see it. We are blind to what is happening down there. What I can tell you is that whatever your reporter just heard moving toward the harbor, it seems to be something coordinated.
Coordinated toward what?
I don't know.
I do. The hotel. The cross was buried in the cellar of that building for 145 years. When they pulled it out and sold it, the proceeds built the bar where the altar used to be. That structure is the largest concentration of his gold above ground tonight. He's going to collect what was his. He's going to take it back.
Folks, we're going to take a brief station identification. When we come back, I want to bring you what we have from the rest of the area. We're not going dark. Stay with us.
It's coming up on 1 in the morning. Wednesday now. I'm still on the air. I just listened to John Freelander on KTAB. He lost his field reporter on the air. I want to acknowledge that. That was a man's life I just heard end. Caller, you're on. Go ahead.
Gary, it's Buddy.
Buddy, where are you?
Parking lot of the Malone. I drove in from the back lot off Spruce Avenue. The fog's a wall about 30 feet from where I'm parked. I have a crowbar.
Buddy, listen to me.
Somebody has to go in there. Somebody has to find what's left. The base of the cross. The piece they didn't melt. If there's anything left of it. If they only took the long part for the smelter and left the bracket. That's still old gold. That's still original.
You don't know it's still there. Buddy, you don't know that.
I don't know it isn't. My grandfather was on the beach the morning after the seagrass got pulled in. He came home and didn't speak for a week. That's what my dad told me. I don't believe in much. I believe in paying a debt. Somebody owes Blake the rest of that gold, and somebody is going to find it for him.
Buddy, the hotel is full of them. The KTAB reporter just heard them moving toward that building. You're driving toward the place they're already at?
I know.
Then don't go in.
I'm 64 years old. My wife passed in November. My kids are grown. Nobody's waiting up for me tonight. If somebody's going to go in there, better me than some kid with a family.
Buddy, please.
I'm putting the phone in my pocket. I'm leaving the line open. You'll hear what you hear. Don't hang up on me, Gary. I want somebody to know how this ends.
Buddy, talk to me. Folks, I can hear his shoes on gravel. I can hear the wind. I can hear a door. I can hear something on the other side of it. And the sound it's making isn't one I'm going to describe on the radio right now. I'm going to keep his line open. I'm going to take another caller while I do. Caller, you're on with Gary.
Gary, it's Kelly from the church in Ferndale.
Kelly, who's with you tonight?
23 people. They drove up from Antonio Bay around 11. Whole families. The Markhams brought their dog. The Pereira family came in slippers. We have the lights on. We have coffee. The pastor came in at midnight to sit with us. He's in the back office writing something for the morning.
How is everyone?
Quiet. I've been reading aloud. The Book of Lamentations. Whole thing. People are listening.
Lamentations is a heavy book to read in a sanctuary tonight.
It's the right book. There are some things you cannot undo. The book knows that. The book sits with that. I called you tonight to tell you we are praying for the people in the bay. The ones still inside. The ones who didn't make it out. And the ones who came in 1880.
The lepers.
We're praying for them, too. They were people. They were sick. Somebody murdered them for their gold. The fact that the men they murdered came back doesn't make those men less real. That's all I want to say.
Caller, go ahead.
Gary, it's Harold.
Where are you?
At Spivey Point, inside the lighthouse.
How did you get up there? I thought you were leaving town.
I couldn't leave. I needed to try and do something. Drove up the access road around 10. The road's bad, but I know it. The museum staff cleared out at 6. I broke the chain on the visitor gate. I'm using the original emergency radio, the one Stevie Wayne broadcast from in 1980. The museum kept it operational. Plaque on the wall says it was last serviced in 2017. Power's out at the lighthouse. Batteries holding.
Harold, what can you see from up there?
I can see the bank. I'm above it. The fog is below me. From this elevation, it looks like the bay is filled with cotton. It glows from inside. There's movement under it. You can't see what? You can see where. It's all moving toward the harbor. The shape of it is converging, like water going down a drain. Slow.
Harold, do me a favor. Tell people what to do.
If you are in Antonio Bay tonight, if you're listening from a house with a wood frame, get out of it. Find a stone building, a real one. Brick, concrete, the library, the post office, the old Methodist church on Garrison Hill. Higher ground if you can. The ones I saw walking are not climbing. Not yet. They are moving along the flats. If you have a basement, don't go in it. The water came up through the floor of the hotel. That's what the housekeeper told you earlier. Take the upstairs. And don't open your door. For anyone. Not even a voice you know.
Harold, are you safe up there?
Safer than anyone in the bay. That's all I'll say. I'm gonna stay on this radio as long as the battery holds. Anyone hearing me, you're not the first person to hear a broadcast from this station on a night like this. I'm not the first person to sit in this chair and try to bring you home.
Harold, thank you. Folks, Buddy's line is still open and I'm not hearing anything on it. I'm going to leave it open in case he comes back. We have a sermon coming in tonight from a pastor in Ferndale, same town as Kelly's church, but a different building. He recorded it and sent it to the station. I'm going to play it for you in a few minutes.
Good evening, my brothers and sisters. This is Pastor Adam Burek. I'm recording this from my church here in Ferndale, 20 miles inland from Antonio Bay. Some of you are listening from inside that town tonight. Some of you are far from it. I do not know how long this signal will reach you tonight. I am going to use the time I have. I want to read to you from the book of Lamentations, chapter 3. Verse 22, it is of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. Lamentations was written by people watching their city burn. They were not pretending it wasn't burning. They were sitting in the ash, and they were saying, even here the mercies are new in the morning. I want you to hold that scripture tonight. I want you to hold it whether you believe it or not. Sometimes the scripture holds us before we hold it back. I want to talk for a few minutes about a story from the book of Joshua. Some of you know it, most of you don't. It's a small story tucked into a larger one, and it has been on my mind all night. The story is about a man named Achan. The Israelites had taken a city. Joshua told his people that the gold and silver of that city was devoted to the Lord. Nobody was to take any of it for themselves. Achan took some of it anyway, a beautiful garment, 200 shekels of silver, a wedge of gold. He hid them under the floor of his tent, and his people suffered for it. They went into the next battle and they lost. The whole community paid for what one tent contained. What I want you to hear tonight is what happens next in that story. Achan tells the truth. He stands up in front of his people and he names what he took. The gold is brought back out into the open, and the burden lifts. Now, I am not telling you that story to give anybody a sermon they don't need tonight. I am telling it because I am thinking about Antonio Bay. A long time ago, a town took something that wasn't theirs. A long time ago, the men who built that town pulled gold out of a wreck and built their houses with it. That gold has been moving through that community for 146 years. I want to say something carefully. The people inside that town tonight are not Achan. They are not the ones who hid the gold under the floor. They are the children of his children. They are people who were born into a town and lived a life there. Some of them have done nothing wrong in any way that should cost them their lives tonight. I want them to know that. I want their families to know it. I also want to say something about the men who came back tonight, the sailors, the captain and his crew. I have heard people on the news tonight call them monsters. I would like to ask my listeners to consider gently that those men were sick. They were dying of leprosy. They were shut out of every port that would have taken them. They paid for a piece of land. The men who took their gold killed them for it. Whatever is walking on the streets of Antonio Bay tonight, whatever Captain Blake has become in 146 years under the water, he is not what he was, but he was someone first. I will not call those men evil from this pulpit. Those men were owed something. The world wronged them. The wrong has not been answered. I want to take a moment for Father Malone tonight. He died in 1980 trying to give back what his grandfather had taken. He was a brother in the work of being a clergyman in a small coastal town. He paid the bill that came due to him. He gave him back the cross. The cross that came out of that cellar last summer is what he gave back. The proceeds of its sale built the bar where he died. If I could speak to the men who decided to dig up that cross and sell it, I would not yell at them. I would ask them to sit with what they have done. Some things you cannot undo. Some debts have to be carried by the people who didn't make them. That is the hardest thing about being human together. That is also the holiest thing about it. I want to ask you to do something tonight. Not as members of any one church, just as people who happen to be alive at the same time. Light a candle. Light it for the people inside Antonio Bay. Light it for the sailors who came back. Light it for Father Malone, who is gone 46 years and who should not be alone tonight. And then sit with it. You don't have to say anything. Some grief doesn't have words. Some grief just needs a candle and a kitchen table and a person willing to sit with it. Lord, we are watching something tonight that we did not make and we cannot stop. We are not asking you to fix it. We are asking you to be in the room while it happens. Be with the people in the bay. Be with the dead. Be with our brother Robert Malone, who paid what he could pay. Be with us, listening from our cars and our kitchens and our churches, holding our candles. We are not alone. That is the only thing I have to give you tonight. That and the candle. That and the morning that comes after. Amen. Good night, brothers and sisters. Light your candle.
It is 2:37 a.m. We are broadcasting from the parking lot of a Presbyterian church up on Hunter Ridge. The KTAB studio was breached at 1:12 this morning. Our engineering team got out through the back lot. Everybody who was in the building when it happened is here on the ridge with me. That part is good news. I want to start tonight with a name. Jericho Palmer, field reporter for this station for the last 3 years. 29 years old, grew up in Crescent City. Mother lives in Sacramento. He took this assignment because nobody else on staff would. He drove down there himself. He kept calling in when his hands were shaking. His last transmission to us at 12:42 a.m. was the sound of a door opening. We have not been able to raise him since. The family that took him in is also unaccounted for. We'll keep saying his name on this broadcast for as long as we have the power to do so. Right now, we are fielding calls about mass casualties across the county. Dozens dead. Maybe more, to the families waking up to the worst night of their lives. I am so sorry. Leigh Cunningham is in the car with me.
I'm here.
We're running on the portable rig you keep in your trunk.
40 watts. The signal is reaching about 30 miles inland. I can't tell you who is listening. I hope somebody is.
Updates on the rest of the area. The Malone Hotel has been silent since 1 a.m. The Eureka facility has been silent since 10 last night. State troopers have not made contact with either site. We've been monitoring an AM broadcast from Spivey Point. Harold Blair has been on his lighthouse radio since around 11 last night. He has line of sight to the harbor from his elevation. We're patching his signal through. Mr. Blair, can you hear us?
I hear you. I want to tell you what I'm seeing. The fog around the lighthouse has receded in the last 15 minutes. I can see down to the bay. There are figures on the beach, hundreds of them, walking from the town toward the water. They aren't running. They aren't in formation. They're walking the way a man walks when he has done what he came to do.
Toward the water.
Into it. The first ones reached the surf about 5 minutes ago. They walked in. They didn't stop at the waves. They kept walking until the water took them.
How many?
I haven't been counting. Hundreds. The line keeps coming.
From where?
From the harbor. From the streets above the harbor. I can see them coming down from the hill where the hotel was. I want to say one thing. The fog goes with them. It's moving back toward the water at the same pace there. It came in with them. It's leaving with them.
We're getting reports from listeners on Highway 1. The fog bank has begun moving east to west at a measurable pace, receding, same speed it came in at. If you have been sheltering, if you have a house with windows facing the bay, don't open them yet. Don't go outside yet.
Wait for the sun.
It's approaching 5 a.m. The eastern sky is starting to come up gray over the ridge. We have been on the air for 2 hours from this parking lot. For the people who came in late, the fog has receded, the harbor is visible, the water is calm in a way I have never seen Pacific water be calm. Mr. Blair, are you still with us?
I'm here. The figures are gone. The last one walked into the water about 20 minutes ago. The shoreline at Spivey Point is empty. I'm going to say something I'm not certain of. The shoreline doesn't look right.
Right how?
It isn't where it was yesterday. The water comes up further than it should. The visitor center at the bottom of the access road is gone. The whole structure, foundation included. The road just ends in tide pools.
We're getting calls now from people on the highway. I want to read them as they come in. Driver westbound on the Mendocino approach reports the Pacific Crest Heritage Salvage Facility on Eureka Avenue is gone. The lot where the building stood is flooded. No debris, no collapsed structure. The building is not there. Driver on Coastal Drive reports the Antonio Bay Maritime Museum is gone. Same description. The lot is flooded. The artifacts are not in the lot. And we have a report from a state trooper who entered Antonio Bay at 4 a.m. The Malone Hotel is gone. The lot is flooded. The trooper's words. The hotel isn't there. 3 buildings.
All 3 of them held what was taken. The hotel had the cellar where the cross was buried. The salvage facility had the bodies they pulled out of the wreck. The museum had what they put on display. He came back for what was his. He took it. The water took the buildings.
I want to add one thing from up here. The wreck site is gone too. The water above where the Elizabeth Dane was. It's deeper now. Sonar reading off the lighthouse was 40 fathoms yesterday. It's 110 this morning. She has buried herself. I don't think anyone is going to find her again.
Thank you, Harold.
Folks, I'm trying to find words for what I'm supposed to tell you next. I don't have them. The sun is coming up over a coastline that is not the same coastline. The buildings that were built on what was taken from those men in 1880 are gone. The land they sat on is the harbor now. I want to say more about what that means.
John, can I say it? This is KTAB, Channel 4. We've been on the air through the night, and now the night is over. If you're inside a house, stay inside until you have full daylight. When you go outside, walk carefully. The ground may not be the ground you remember. Check on your neighbors, hold each other, then come back tomorrow. That's enough for one night. Good night, John. Good night, everybody.
It's 5:45 in the morning. Sun's been up for 20 minutes. I'm still here. I want to be honest with you tonight. My voice is shot. I've been talking for 19 hours, If I sound like I'm chewing rocks, that's why. Buddy Houck's line went silent at 1:23 this morning. I'm leaving it on the board until somebody tells me to take it down. That's all I'm going to say about it tonight. Caller, you're on. Go ahead.
Hi, it's Iris.
Iris, where are you calling from?
A gas station. The Chevron at the bottom of the hill above the bay. I walked here.
From the hotel.
From where the hotel was. I was in the walk-in freezer, behind a stack of catering pans. I went in there at midnight when the doors started knocking. I had a wool coat in my locker, and I put it on.
Iris, when did you come out?
Around 5, when the freezer fan stopped because the building had no power. When I couldn't hear anything outside the door anymore, I waited another 20 minutes after that, just to be sure. I pushed the door open. I stepped out into the kitchen. The kitchen was there. I walked through the swinging door into the dining room. The dining room was not there.
Not there.
There was open sky. The kitchen was sitting on its own foundation in the middle of a flooded lot. The rest of the building was not there, like somebody had cut around the kitchen with scissors and taken everything else. I climbed over the edge of the foundation. The water was cold, up to my knees. I walked 2 miles in wet shoes.
Iris, are you all right?
I'm cold. I'm tired. I don't know what all right means right now, but I'm here. The clerk at the gas station gave me a coffee and let me use his phone. He didn't ask me anything. He saw the wet shoes and the wool coat in April, and he just handed me the cup. I called my mother. She picked up on the first ring. She had been awake all night.
Iris, thank you for calling. Get warm, get home.
I will.
Caller, go ahead.
It's Harold. Last call from up here.
Still at the lighthouse.
Still here. Coast Guard sent a vessel up to check on me about 30 minutes ago. They're letting me ride down with them. Before I leave the radio, I want to say what I have. The wreck site is buried. The Coast Guard ran sonar past it 20 minutes ago. Where the Elizabeth Dane sat in 40 fathoms yesterday, the floor reads 110 this morning. She has put herself somewhere nobody is going to reach. That's not a thing a wreck does on its own. If I had a guess, she wanted privacy. She has it.
Harold, you sat in Stevie Wayne's chair tonight.
I sat in the chair. I was 17 years old in 1980. I never forgot her voice on this radio. I'm going to leave the chair the way I found it. Plaque turned out so the next person can see whose seat it is. Microphone unplugged. Door locked behind me. I hope I did right by her tonight.
You did.
All right. The Coast Guard's at the door. Take care of yourself.
You too. Caller, you're on.
It's Lindsay. I'm driving south on Highway 1. I'm coming back.
Coming back to the bay?
I have family in Antonio Bay. My aunt, my cousin. I have to see what's still standing. I want to tell people who are listening what the road looks like.
Tell us.
The coastline is not where it was. I drove past Larson's Bait and Tackle. I have stopped at that store every summer since I was a kid. The lot is a tide pool. The store is gone. The Sandpiper Motel, where my parents stayed on their honeymoon, the lot is a tide pool. There's a Pacific Crest survey truck parked half on the shoulder. The driver is sitting on the hood, just looking at the water. The water is east of where it was, by a mile in some places. The road still runs, but it's the only thing on the road.
A mile?
There used to be houses out here, whole streets of them. The bluffs they sat on are not bluffs anymore, just water with a tree sticking up here and there, like somebody emptied a snow globe. I don't know what to call this. The map is wrong now. That's all I can say.
Lindsay, drive careful. Call your aunt before you get there.
I will.
Folks, I want to say something before I get off the air. I'm going to take a minute. Just bear with me. This has been Midnight Current. I'm Gary Lawson. Take care of each other. Take care of the people who came through this with you. Don't try to make sense of it tonight. That's a thing for later. That's a thing for after you've slept and somebody's hand is on your shoulder. Frank, the show's done. You can rest now. Good night, Antonio Bay.
.42 a.m., April 21st, I've been recording since before the fog came in, and there are hours on this drive that aren't going out, and that's a decision I've made, and I'm comfortable with it. What I'm releasing is this: 111 confirmed dead as of this hour. That number isn't final. There are parts of the peninsula that haven't been reached yet. 3 buildings are gone, not structurally failed. The Malone Hotel, the Pacific Crest facility in Eureka, and the Maritime Museum aren't standing in wreckage or flood damage. They aren't there. The ground where the Malone stood is already filling with tidal water, and I spent 2 hours this morning trying to find a physical model that produces that result without debris, and I can't find one. Every flood leaves a water line. Every collapse leaves material. What the sea did to those 3 buildings didn't leave anything behind, which means it didn't destroy them. It took them. That part 1, me and Colin settled. What isn't settled is the gold. Pacific Crest pulled just over 50 pounds from the Elizabeth Dane wreck site across 18 months of operation. 9 pounds went to the Maritime Museum, gone now. The remaining 42 pounds moved through private sales that Pacific Crest CEO has refused to document for any investigator across 2 years of requests, including mine. 15 pounds of that traces to coin dealers in 3 states. The other 27 pounds has no paper trail I've been able to find in 18 months of pulling on it. That's a gap, not an estimate. The Malone Cross went to a Reno smelter in October of 2024 for $246,000. A Sacramento manufacturer bought from that smelter and produced 412 pieces in their 2025 jewelry line from that batch. I've been trying to trace those units for 8 months. The trail goes cold at the factory floor. Jewelry travels. People cross state lines with it, cross borders with it, give it to people who have no idea where the material came from. Those 412 pieces have been moving since they left that factory, and nothing that happened last night stopped them. Father Malone's journal described what he called the book of names, receivers, everyone whose hands had touched the gold after it came off the Elizabeth Dane, whether they knew what they were holding or not. Last night settled the account for Antonio Bay. The sea took the hotel built on Blake's gold. It took the facility that pulled his crew's remains off the ocean floor and drove them to Eureka in a van. It took the museum. 111 people are dead, and the fog is pulled back to wherever it came from, and the local part of this is done. The part that isn't local isn't done. The gold that's been moving through coin shops and jewelry stores and gift boxes for the last 18 months didn't come home last night. It's somewhere. Thousands of people have a piece of it, and none of them know what it is. I don't know how far Blake's reach goes when the gold is sitting in a jewelry box in Portland, or a coin collection in Denver, or a display case in a shop that bought from a dealer who bought from a dealer who bought from Pacific Crest. The Malone Journal doesn't address that distance. Nobody who survived 1980 has ever had to address it. It's a question that didn't exist before last night, and I don't have an answer for it. If you bought from a coin dealer in California, Nevada, or Oregon in the last 18 months, the distribution chain goes up on my site tonight. Check what you have. If it traces to the Pacific Crest dive operation, contact me through the form in the description. After that, what you do is your call. 111 dead, 27 pounds of gold that went somewhere I can't find, 412 pieces of jewelry that could be anywhere in the world right now. The sea closed the books on Antonio Bay last night, and Blake took what Antonio Bay owed him. And somewhere out there, the ledger has entries the sea hasn't touched yet. I don't know whose names are in it. I'm going to stop recording now. Just remember, this may not be over. Blake's ledger still isn't balanced.
Good evening, or good morning. I confess I've lost track. What strikes me about the events you have just experienced is not the fog nor the considerable number of doors that were knocked upon. It is the sequence. A ship went down in 1880, carrying a crew of men and a quantity of gold. For 146 years, both remained exactly where they had been placed by circumstance. The men in the wreck, the gold in the town. This arrangement, while not ideal for anyone involved, was apparently stable. Then someone with a diving permit and the appropriate equipment decided to look into it. The men were removed from the wreck and driven to a facility in Eureka. The gold was removed and sent to a smelter in Reno, and then to a manufacturer in Sacramento, and then to 412 people whose owners, I imagine, are having a rather confusing morning. Captain Blake, who had been waiting at the bottom of the Pacific for 146 years with what I can only describe as considerable patience, had by this point formed an opinion about all of this. He expressed it, I think, quite clearly. The fog, the knocking, the buildings that aren't there anymore, all of it started the same way. Someone looked at what was resting at the bottom of the ocean and asked what it was worth. The ocean, as it turns out, had already decided.